Good morning, Year 5, and welcome to Friday's English lesson. Today we're going to write the very last paragraph of the science fiction stories we've been working on for the last 2 weeks. Next week we will start a new English topic. So today we're going to write the end paragraph, and to do it we're going to use a range of conjunctions in our writing. Now, the end part of the story is called the resolution, if you want to look at our story mountain. So how does the story end in the actual book of The Way Back Home? Well, if you remember, after a long night, they were both finally off the moon. The boy went one way and the Martian went another, both on their way back home. But we can't just have that as our ending. We need to know what happens next after the two creatures have had their meeting so that our stories can resolve the problem, okay? And then they get back home. So you need to also think about, where do your characters need to end up? Are they both going back to one place together? Are they splitting up? So before we move on and start writing, I want to remind you what a conjunction is. What is a conjunction? What do they do? And how can we use them to develop our writing? So before we move on, I'm just going to play a short video. It's a song really, to give you a quick reminder of what a conjunction can do.
For conjunction junction.
Conjunction junction, what's your function?
Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
Conjunction junction, how's that function?
I got 3 favorite cards that get most of my job done.
Conjunction junction, what's their function?
I got and, but, and, or. They'll get you pretty far. And, that's an additive, like this and that. But, that's sort of the opposite. Not this, but that. And then there's or. O-R. When you have a choice like this or that. And, but, and, or get you pretty far.
Well, that was a catchy tune, and it showed you where and, but, and, or could be used. But if you just used and, but, and, or in your writing, it wouldn't be very exciting. And there are so many other conjunctions that you can use. We can use conjunctions to tell when something's happened: after, afterwards, as, at that moment, finally, first, and so on. And at the bottom we've got when, while, subsequently. We can also use conjunctions to explain why something's happening: as a result, because, therefore. And we can use it to give an opinion. Fortunately for the boy, the spacecraft started working again. Sadly and unfortunately for other ones you can use. We can replace but with a whole range of things, but you must make sure that the context is correct for each one of them. And we've also got alternatives for and when you're trying to add an extra reason or point to the one that you've already made. So today, try to include a variety of these conjunctions in your writing. Now, so far we've written 5 paragraphs of our story. So you need to think about what needs to be in your plan to end your story. In the actual book, the boy travels down from the moon, goes home to collect the items he needs. Then he shouts back up to the moon. The Martian doesn't hear him, but eventually he gets the rope handed down, gets back to the moon. They mend everything and they go their separate ways. The boy flies home in his plane and the alien goes off in his rocket. The boy later receives a gift. You can remember, a walkie-talkie, which they can then use to communicate, so they keep in touch. And that's our ending. What needs to be in your plan to end your story? What has to be done to fix the problems? And who fixes the problems? Both of them, or just one of them do it? Do they say goodbye, or do they go off together? Who goes where? And do they ever make contact again? Just because they do in the original story doesn't mean they have to in yours. So again, I'm not going to read the story. If you want to read it again, you can. But I'm going to concentrate on the very last line where we're going to carry on from. Quick as a flash, the boy pulled out a piece of paper and together they started planning what to do to fix both craft. So I have to follow on from there. So after having discussed their plans, the boy knew exactly what he had to do. Leaping off the edge of the moon, while holding on tight to his plan, he courageously descended back down to Earth. So I've linked by talking about the plans after having discussed their plans, the ones that they've drawn up. The boy knew what he had to do. And then I've got an ing opener here where I'm leaping off the edge of the moon while holding on tight to his plan. So I've put my conjunction while in there. Okay. Then he courageously descended back down to earth. So I'm thinking all the time about my vocabulary choices. I haven't just said he bravely went back down. I've put he courageously descended. Parachuting into the salty sea. So I've got an ing opener here. I'm thinking all the time about the openers to my sentences. Then swimming strongly through the water. The boy headed home to collect the things he needed. A few hours later, he was soon shouting back up to the Martian to hoist him up to the moon's surface. So in this part, he swum home, and then I've sequenced it by saying a few hours later, he was soon shouting back up to the Martian to hoist him up to the moon's surface. Determined, so I've got my ed ending here, to help his new friend return safely to his own home too, the boy helped the alien to mend his engine, as well as, so I'm doing an additional conjunction here, asking the alien to help him refuel his engine. Once both craft were fixed, plus a tearful farewell exchanged, so I've used another addition conjunction here, but a different one, the two went their separate ways. Now I'm sequencing. A few weeks later, the boy received a parcel. Inside was a walkie-talkie sent by the alien in order, so I've got my causal conjunction here, that they could keep in touch. Okay, so I've got a variety of conjunctions in there in order to link clauses together in my sentences. And I've also managed to get in a good variety of add spice openers. Now it's time for you to write the next part of your story, explaining how the problem is resolved and how and where the character ends up. Don't forget your story resolution might be totally different to the one in the book. Your character may not need to go back for the problem to be resolved. Okay, he may go with the other character back to his land, or he might take the character back with him. Check your plan. What's your story ending? Now, once you have written your story, okay, and please put as much effort in as you have the rest of the time because we really want great stories. I want you to check through your writing, making sure it makes sense, underline the conjunctions that you've used, and then go through your checklist, ticking off. Have you used a range of conjunctions? Have you used add spice openers, the ones we looked at yesterday? Have you put commas in the correct places? And have you put in your personal target from yesterday? And your next step will be one that, from your writing so far, what do you think next time you're going to have to be working on? Then I want you to read back through your whole story and enjoy it. But also, once you're going through it, can you up-level it? Can you make it even better than it actually is? Well done, everybody. We look forward to reading your final stories. And maybe you even want to draw some pictures to go with them. That's up to you. Enjoy. Speak to you next week. Bye.